You let a human babysit that beast? Now it thinks he's dead. Commander Zixto's 4 eyes widen in horror as she watched the security feed from Containment Base 7. The sight before her defied every protocol, every safety measure, and every shred of common sense the Galactic Federation had established over 3 millennia of xenobiology. Research. A human male sat cross-legged on the floor, completely unrestrained, while a juvenile apex predator from Kepler 442b, a creature that had torn through reinforced titanium barriers just days ago, curled up against his side like some sort of oversized pet. The beast's razor-sharp dorsal spines, each capable of piercing standard military armor, lay flat against its obsidian hide as it nuzzled the human's shoulder with a head the size of a hover car. Dr. Kethrim, Zixtal's voice cracked through the intercom, her translator struggling with the pitch of her distress. Please explain why Subject K7793 is not in its containment field, and why human specialist Marcus Chun appears to be petting it. The insectoid scientist's mandibles clicked nervously as he pulled up the incident report on his holopad. Well, Commander, it started 3 rotations ago when Chun volunteered for overnight monitoring duty. The juvenile had been exhibiting severe distress behaviors, attempting to break containment, refusing nutrition supplements, and emitting those subsonic distress calls that were disrupting half the station's equipment. On the screen, Marcus scratched behind what Zixto could only assume were the creature's auditory receptors. The beast, officially designated as an Apex Predator Class 9 extinction event, began producing a low, rumbling sound that the station's computers were frantically trying to classify as either a threat assessment or purring. I specifically ordered that no personnel were to enter the containment area without full protective gear and escort protocols, Zixto said, her voice rising to a frequency that made several nearby Altarians cover their hearing membranes. Dr. Kefrim's compound eyes shifted in what his species considered an apologetic gesture. Yes, Commander. But Human Chun argued that the juvenile was exhibiting signs of what humans call separation anxiety. He theorized that since it was found alone on Kepler 442b, away from its pack, it might be responding to isolation stress. So, you let him enter a containment bay with a creature that our xenobiology department classified as catastrophically dangerous to all known forms of sentient life? Well, he seemed very confident. Zixto felt a migraine developing across all 4 of her cerebral lobes. Humans had been part of the Galactic Federation for only 2 standard cycles, but they had already managed to turn every established protocol into mere suggestions. She watched as Marcus pulled what appeared to be a primitive throwing sphere from his pocket and tossed it across the bay. The Apex Predator, the same creature that had taken a full platoon of Federation Marines to subdue, bounded after it with the enthusiasm of a Rigelian pleasure pet. Commander, came Marcus's voice through the comm system, tinged with that peculiar human emotion they called amusement. I think Bruno wants to come out and play with the other specimens. Bruno? Zixtal's voice climbed another octave. You named it Bruno? You look like a Bruno. Plus, he responds to it now. Watch this, Marcus called out. Bruno, sit! The apex predator, whose species had never shown signs of higher cognitive function beyond hunt and kill, immediately planted its hindquarters on the floor and looked at Marcus with what could only be described as adoration. Dr. Kethrim Sear. Mandibles were now clicking so rapidly they sounded like a percussion instrument. The bonding process appears to be complete, Commander. The juvenile has imprinted on Human Chun as its primary caregiver. In its mind, Chun is now its how do humans say. Dad, this is a disaster, Zixtal muttered, watching as Marcus produced what appeared to be strips of processed meat from his pocket. The creature that required specialized stun weaponry to feed now gently took the treats from the human's bare hand. Do you understand what this means? That creature is going to grow to be 12 meters long and weigh 4 tons. Its adult form can tear through battleship hulls. Actually, Commander, Marcus's voice came through the speakers again. I've been thinking about that. Bruno's people are pack hunters, right? And from what I've read in the survey reports, they show complex social behaviors before the military decided to capture this little guy. What if they're not just mindless killing machines? What if they're intelligent, but we're just defending their territory? Zixto was about to launch into a detailed explanation of why that was impossible when Bruno looked directly at the security camera and tilted his head in a gesture that was unmistakably curious. For just a moment, she saw something behind those predatory eyes: intelligence, awareness, and something that looked almost like hope. Sir, came the voice of Lieutenant Vorth from the communication station. We're receiving a transmission from the Kepler 442b system. It's coming from the planet's surface. On screen, Zixto ordered, dreading what she might see. The view screen flickered to life, showing a group of adult apex predators standing in what appeared to be a cleared area near their ship's previous landing site. They weren't attacking or displaying aggressive postures. Instead, they seemed to be waiting. Dr. Kethram's scanner beeped softly. Commander, I'm detecting the same subsonic frequencies that Bruno was emitting when he was distressed. But these are different. They're calling for him. Marcus looked up at the camera from where he sat with Bruno's massive head in his lap. They're his family, aren't they? They're looking for their kid. Zixto felt something shift in her understanding of the universe. In just 3 days, a human had managed to see past the classifications, the protocols, and the fear to recognize something the entire Galactic Federation had missed. Sometimes what looked like a monster was just someone's lost child. Dr. Kethram, she said quietly, prepare a shuttle and cancel the weapons research project. Commander, we're taking Bruno home to his family. And maybe it's time we learn to see beyond our own assumptions about who deserves compassion in this galaxy. As the security feed showed Marcus hugging the creature that had terrorized half the station, Zixto couldn't help but think that humans might just teach the rest of the galaxy a thing or two about what it truly meant to be civilized.